Tolva and Nartok gently pulled aside some of the bug-black leaves to peer out into the clearing and the little pond in front of the exposed cliff. This was the place the elf had warned them about, all right. The rockfall had shifted all the topsoil, and they could clearly see the outlines of the dwarven stonework exposed for the first time in many centuries. Tolva, something of a historian of his people's masonry, instantly identified the square spiral style of old Dalzaun. He tapped his companion on the elbow and they exchanged a nod. Then looking back at the pale, bearded face of Sandaban, wet and shivering, his wide-brimmed hat dripping from the light morning rain, he was now experienced enough not to ask the two in front anything out loud, but the wide-eyed intensity of his expression as he read their faces made it hard not to laugh at him. Nartok let the shrub go gently and crept back with scarcely a snapping twig under his sandaled feet. He loomed over Sandaban, even hunched over as he was, under the low canopy of these smaller trees on the forest edge, his deep yellow eyes darting about even as he whispered to the wizard.
Stay here. We go first. This is place elves say.
He then lifted his waterskin, taking a long drink before wiping his black lips with the back of a clawed hand.
We refill that pond before us go into ruin.
Oh, you saw an entrance? Nartok nodded.
Elves say true.
Tolva joined them, his heavy boots nowhere near as quiet as the hobgoblin ranger. Sandaban was clearly full of questions, so he offered up his observations.
Old Dalzaun ruin. I would guess this was under a guard tower, this close to the Stonelands. So I expect it's stock full of weapons and armor. Though it may be trapped, I think this will be a hidden way out, though, so maybe not.
Your weapon's good,
Nartok said, taking his sword from his back and strapping it to his waist now they were leaving the woods. Tolva nodded, glancing at the magnificently made weapon, along with the perfectly balanced throwing knives and a set of javelins the hobgoblin wore, all made by his own kind, taken from those he had killed over the last few years before Tolva had met him at the Danvig homestead, being nursed back to health by the humans there. He grunted at the compliment because it was a damn rare thing for a dwarf to admit the hobgoblin's arsenal was better than his own.
You smell that?
Said Nartok. The wizard patted a pouch and sniffed his fingers, then looked around confident his back guano was still safe and dry. Nartok stepped through the bug-black shrubs and moved over to a spear of black on top of a mossy rock. He paused and had put a hand on the ground, leaning down to study some tracks. He then looked around very slowly and intently. Tolva moved up, and once next to the rock, the smell hit him. He knew that smell well.
Troll.
Nartok nodded.
Tell wizards to read all fire spells. It inside already.
Ah, chipax. Can we smoke it out?
No good. Not work. Just bring more trouble.
Tolva took a flask at his side and, with a dull glug, he shook it.
Now I wish I brought more lamp oil.
Hate troll.
Everyone hates trolls, Nartok. Even trolls hate trolls.
Well, there are more than one.
Ah, chipax.
Hey there everyone, AJ back again for the Mighty Gluestick channel. I make videos about Dungeons & Dragons lore full-time and have a collection of hundreds of monster ecology and strategy videos on my channel. If you like what I do, please consider subscribing as I upload at least twice a week. Trolls have always been a part of Dungeons & Dragons. They are core to the lineup of monsters in every single edition, and every D&D player just has to fight a troll at least once or twice in their gaming experience. It's mandatory. They are reasonably simple and very well known, with only a few main design changes from their original concept back in the white boxed original Dungeons & Dragons set. However, there have been loads of variant types of trolls over the decades. Very early on, we learned that trolls can interbreed with hill giants to create giant trolls, which have reddish-brown skin and red-rimmed eyes, have a habit of using torn-up tree trunks or the bodies of normal-sized humanoids as a clubbing weapon. And they are even less intelligent than the hill giants, but enormously strong and very hard to kill. Also, although I haven't talked about mountain giants, there's a good chance that giant trolls are their offspring, since they are more closely resembling the superior cousins to the hill giants. Trolls can crossbreed with ettins, which are two-headed giant mutant orcs. They behave in a similar way to other giant trolls, with the exception, of course, of having two heads. The fiend folio also included the mage-bred cross between trolls and invisible stalkers called the spirit troll. Thankfully, this was a secret experiment and only 30 of them were ever created. Unlike other trolls, the spirit troll has superior dark vision out to 120 feet, as well as a troll's normally acute sense of smell. Other than that, the spirit troll is just a naturally invisible form of troll that can only be hurt by magical weapons, fire and acid. Plus, it's immune to cold, and physical strikes also rob the victims at a rapid rate of their stamina, possibly putting them into a coma unless they receive some healing. In the second monster manual for 1st edition, the aquatic trolls called scrags were listed. Saltwater scrags were larger than the freshwater breed, both have a weaker claw attack but a more fearsome bite, and have scales, and saltwater scrags are known to fashion armour for themselves out of shells and shark skin. Both species only regenerate when immersed in water, but are otherwise just trolls with scales and gills. It says that the marine scrags are about the same size as land-based trolls, which is at least 10 feet tall. That's a big humanoid. In Dragon Magazine number 141, published in January 1989, we find the very rare black troll, who inhabit the abyss and have demonic powers, such as the ability to release a bolt of chained lightning, and spell powers such as darkness, pyrotechnics, telekinesis, dispel magic, and teleport without error, as well as the ability to gate in other trolls and even lesser demons, with a fair rate of success. Black trolls are over 13 feet tall, but are more human-like in body proportion. They have smooth skin, black skin, green eyes, and red horns. Although they have some abyssal powers, including resistance to cold and poisons, they are often called demon trolls. They're not actually demons. In that same article, rock trolls usually dwell on the elemental plane of Earth, but have been known to dwell in dungeons, caves, and remote mountains on the prime material plane. They are 11 feet tall and fond of grabbing a victim and repeatedly biting them twice per round. They're also agile and tough enough to deflect missiles not launched from a crossbow or ballista, at least some of the time. They are rocky, and spells that target rock can severely hurt them. Also, with an appearance that matches the rocky terrain they dwell in, they can blend in very well with their environment when they want to. With the basic D&D rule set, the game got one hell of a good supplement with the 2-book set called The Orcs of Thar. The Broken Lands region detailed in these books are populated by orcs, goblinoid, and trolls, and the intention of the books was to allow players to roll up and play kobolds, goblins, orcs, hobgoblins, gnolls, bugbears, ogres, and trolls as player characters, with a bit of humour, but these are still monstrous humanoids who love to pillage and slaughter. It reminded me a lot of the Wormy comic from Dragon Magazine. Such a good comic, that one. Also, you can tell that the orcs were more pig-faced in early D&D because the city of orcs in the setting is called Oinkmar. With Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 2nd edition, we got a lot more troll variants. There is the Snow Troll, similar to the Ice Troll, and the new additions the Desert Troll and Spectral Troll. Desert Trolls range from a bleached tan to a mottled rock brown and are sneaky and hard to spot in the desert, quite nomadic like most trolls. Unlike most trolls, they are immune to natural fire, heat and cold, but still, splashing them with acid will prevent their regeneration ability. Also, magic fire and breath weapons from dragons will still work against them, but most unusual of all, they suffer damage from ordinary water, which tends to burn them just like acid does. They tend to be very solitary creatures, but also relentless predators. The Spectral Troll is the undead form of a troll, fairly unique to their species, also known as the Troll Wraith. They take material form only in darkness, and they are tormented by the memory of once being alive. They are the same size and appearance of a troll, except they are jet black and only silver or magical weapons harm them. Also, they simply vanish in sunlight, only reappearing again when the sunlight goes away. As undead, anyone slain by the Spectral Troll has a good chance of returning from death as a tormented wraith themselves. In Dragon Magazine issue 199, printed in November 1993, we learned about the Trollhound, a canine troll species, subspecies that cohabitates with trolls in its lairs. The Trollhound looks like a very large, ugly warg or direwolf with black pits for eyes. Most Trollhounds stand between 4 and 6 feet tall at the shoulder and bulge with thick muscles and tendons. The skin of a Trollhound is a vile mix of violet, grey and green flesh with patches of coarse, spiky black or grey hair. The lips, tongue and teeth of Trollhounds are inky black. They always smell of waste, death and decay, which is fairly typical of most trolls. Like most trolls, their blood is quite valuable to those who would make potions of healing and restoration, fetching 400 gold on average for a water skin filled with the stuff. Also, in that magazine we have the phase troll, which are only half as tall as a regular troll, and their skin is stiff and leathery, covered in tough knobbly lumps. Overall, their skin is deep blue or purple. Phase trolls are aberrations, mutants born of normal trolls who spend too much time in areas of raw magical energy or strong underdark radiations, such as faerzress. These radiations are known to be the reasons for phase trolls' powers and enhanced intellect. They can use the spells for creating dimensional doors and make mirror image illusions of themselves. Grey trolls are tall and gangly and look much like normal trolls. They have grey or grey-brown skin. It's dry and flaking like old parchment. The unruly mass of hair on the grey troll's head is grey or white. Deep in their sunken pits that are its eye sockets dance cold blue pinpoints of light. Grey trolls are normal trolls that reach their present state of being by being totally drained of vitality, usually by some form of undead. By processes not fully understood, the rush of negative energy from the attacker reacts strangely with the troll's natural regenerative ability. Most of the time, the trolls simply die, but in less than 5% of the cases, the troll will lapse into a coma for about 24 hours and then rises again as a grey troll. Not undead, but sterile, unable to cast spells, and linked to the negative energy plane for the next 25 to 75 years before they eventually crumble to dust. Grey trolls are ferocious in battle, ripping into anything near them. The grey troll's saliva is highly toxic and is delivered every time it successfully bites an opponent. Usually it will be well after the battle has ended that the poison from the saliva really kicks in and the victim must then save against it. If they make the Constitution saving throw, there's no further effect. If failed, the victim slips into a coma and will not awaken unless the poison is neutralized. If they stay in the coma for more than over a full day and night, they must make another saving throw. If they make it, they take some damage that reduces their hit point total. If they fail the save, they die. For this reason, grey trolls almost never use weapons, since their own physical attacks are so deadly and formidable. Kind of like Komodo dragons of troll kind. They can assume gaseous form 3 times per week, as per the spell, but with half the duration. They also regenerate twice as fast as other trolls, but their arms, legs and head are slightly easier to sever thanks to them being lanky and emaciated. They are totally immune to damage by acid, cold and electrical attacks. However, fire damage cannot be regenerated because of its dry paper-like skin. A troll takes double damage from any fire attacks. The spectral troll, they hate fire so much that they'll attack anyone bearing it in hopes of extinguishing it as quickly as possible. They really do look like undead trolls, but they are actually alive and can't be turned by clerics. Also, their blood is fairly useless, but the dust they leave behind when they die and crumble away is highly valued by alchemists for its healing and its resistance to magic such as acid, cold and electrical based damage. Sunlight is also deadly to them, burning them as though it were flames, and they are blinded by it. Stone trolls are a lot more extreme versions of the rock troll. They're big, lumbering beasts who can eat both flesh and rocks. They are so strong they can literally rip their victims apart in combat, and their hide is so tough that they are resistant to slashing damage, and it is much harder to sever their limbs. They enjoy picking up boulders and hurling them or smashing their victims to pulp. Like most trolls, if it does lose its head and a couple of limbs, the torso will attempt to run off and hide somewhere until it can regrow its extremities again. This doesn't take very long at all. If a stone troll is struck by both fire, heat and cold attacks in a single round, it takes double the normal damage from the second attack and must make a Constitution saving throw or actually shatter and die from the extreme temperature shift. Stone trolls aren't very prolific, the females giving birth to a single whelp every 10 years. The young mature at about 20 years. Stone trolls can live in excess of 500 years. Because of their rocky nature, stone trolls can subsist by eating stones, gems and other minerals. Though not appetizing, it's nourishing and helps them develop their concealing coloration. They prefer live prey, though when meat is around, and any meat is fair game. They don't discriminate against intelligent or unintelligent game. Stone trolls consider all other beings prey and never ally themselves with other groups for power. They attack most creatures for hunger and sport, but attack rock trolls out of sheer hatred. They consider rock trolls to be perversions of their race, while rock trolls see stone trolls as inferior, ugly versions of themselves. This hatred is so great that the two species will never join forces, even if they're attacked by a common enemy. A fire troll is a tall, thick-limbed humanoid with smooth, blood-red skin. With its sunken sockets, its eyes glow a fierce yellow, and its hair is a tangled mass of vibrant oranges and yellows. Its claws and teeth are long, razor-sharp, and as dark as fire-blackened steel. They're about 12 feet tall, but lope along, stooped over, fast enough to keep pace with most other humanoids. They're good swimmers and climbers, able to move through liquid magma and clamber around the surface of cave walls and volcanic caldera with equal ease. Fire trolls can't see in total darkness, but as long as there is at least some light, they have very good vision out to about 300 feet, which is rare among this usually short-sighted species. Fire trolls are more intelligent than most of their kin and have become experts at setting ambushes and traps. One of their favourite methods of ambush is to submerge themselves in a magma pool and then leap out at their target as they approaches, spraying those within 20 feet with magma globs. Their regenerative powers are derived from heat, so unless immersed in magma or fire, they don't heal rapidly. They're immune to flame, obviously, but acid attacks don't have any effect on their regeneration. It's electrical attacks that are their weak spot, and cold attacks are quite deadly, doing twice as much damage to them. Fire trolls live in small family groups inside volcanically active areas. The females give birth once every 8 years or so, and most fire trolls can live up to be 600 years old, although very rarely. Troll mutates appear in the Gates of Firestorm Peak adventure and are relisted in the Monstrous Compendium Volume 4. They are trolls who have been exposed to the corrupting and debilitating alien energies of the Far Realm for many generations. Nearly all of them have extra eyes and limbs, external organs, twisted and distorted features, but are otherwise just somewhat weaker trolls, thin and lanky with mottled grey-green skin and loathsome rubbery flesh. As with many of the savage tribes of trolls, they're ruled by a matriarch female called a trollop, who rules with an iron claw, and in the case of the mutates, she has 2 heads and a tentacled tail, with the second head possessing psychic powers. She kills all other female trolls in the group to ensure her own supremacy and confiscates all treasure collected by her male trolls for her own squalid hoard. 3rd edition and 3.5 further expanded the troll variants, the fiendish and fell trolls, the slime, cave, forest, crystalline, mountain, war, wasteland, tunnel thug, Blade Rager and Filth Eater trolls showed up in the 5 different monster manuals, plus we got a detailed monster ecology for the troll species written by Paul Leach for Dragon Magazine issue 301, published in November 2002. It's a really good article, so I'll read from it directly here for you with some of my own thoughts and insights thrown in here and there. This is Malignant Growth, the article is called. Trolls are bestial giants driven by unrelenting hunger, occupying a niche between animal and predators and the rest of giant kind. So they are giant kin, related to other giants through their mother. In mythology, anyway. These rubber-skinned brutes prize strength, and they lust for slaughter and destructions, caring little for anything else. Secure in the knowledge that most creatures cannot inflict lasting injuries on them, they fight fearlessly, and this is a very important thing about trolls, is they do not get scared. Despite these characteristics, trolls have a capacity for reason, and they can think beyond their next meal, although when one is at hand, they tend to concentrate on it to the exclusion of everything else. It's easy to come to the conclusion that trolls aren't much more than regenerating eating machines, but the role they play in your campaign doesn't have to be as simple as that. They can be found skulking about the wilderness alone or in small gangs, but they are also encountered in the service of evil humanoids, particularly giants or even more powerful monsters. Exceptional trolls that advance in character classes can also be encountered as well. Most often they are leaders or otherwise special members of a tribe, but they can also sometimes be NPC enemies or even allies. Trolls live in every climate on the surface and inhabit the Underdark as well. They typically operate within a 10-mile radius of their lair, although most of these that live in subterranean areas are often more restricted in their excursions because caves don't extend that far, and typically the concentrations of food sources in caves will be restricted to around water sources and things. They're not overly territorial with creatures other than other trolls, considering any creature willing to place itself within the reach of their claws and teeth a good thing. They often live semi-nomadic lives, moving on when they have depleted a nearby settlement of all humanoids and domestic herds, and if wild fish and game are scarce, they'll move on. Unless driven away by powerful enemies, a troll will most likely return to its former haunts when food is plentiful again, basically moving on to let it regenerate and restock. Trolls have no natural enemies, but some monsters prey on trolls like they would any other creature. Only a few of those actually give a troll cause to fear for its life. That's anthegs, dragons, oozes, ramarazes, and purple worms. Any creature large enough to swallow a troll whole or in pieces and digest it with strong stomach acids encourages caution in a troll. Trolls are fearful of incorporeal undead as well, especially shadows. Most good races seek to kill or drive away trolls whenever they encounter them, and it's a fair assumption that trolls will eat them if given the chance. The natural lifespan of trolls is on average 100 years, and they reach maturity at just 10 years, although they can hunt and fend themselves within a year of their birth. The young learn mostly by harsh experience, but they are taught to fear fire and to revere only the evil gods. They emulate, namely Vaprak, the Destroyer, and Erithnal, the Many. Trolls grow up nasty and determined, scornful of other races whom they consider to be nothing better than food. A troll's ability to express itself is often limited to asserting dominance over the weaker members of its tribe through violence, although some like to draw on cave walls or other similar surfaces as a pastime where they will paint pictures of food. The drawings etched in charcoal, blood, clay, or filth are usually scenes of hunts or wars, and they often contain references to the dark gods the trolls worship. Trolls do not typically engage in crafts of any sort, most of them not even bothering to fashion crude garments for themselves. Why would they? Garments will be destroyed sooner than their flesh will. Most of their activities focus on acquiring food, whether exploring their habitats for sources of meat, preparing ambushes, or actually tracking down and hunting prey. These hunters tend to be nocturnal, but they can be active at any time of the day. Their scent and dark vision abilities allow them to hunt prey at night very well, when some of their intended meals might be at a disadvantage. If possible, a hungry troll will attempt to consume a meal on the spot, but will take food back to its lair if necessary. They mate irregularly, their birth rate is low as a result. The courtship ritual is initiated by the dominant female and is often nothing more than a brawl with any competing females to impress prospective males. Then they get them alone and savage them. Sometimes the female presents her intended with a kill for them to share, or at least for the male to start eating, let its guard down, and then the female pounces. Otherwise, they don't generally share their meal if they can help it. A mating is most likely to produce offspring when the mother has access to enormous amounts of food, since pregnant trolls become even more hungry and vicious. The year-long gestation rarely results in more than one troll newborn. Trolls don't normally learn to craft, nor do they engage in commerce or till the soil as a way of life. Farming is an alien concept to them. They collect treasure, usually by theft or plunder, but sometimes they earn it. They can work. They don't view coins as a means to acquire material comforts and goods, but as something to measure their power and worth. They basically emulate the pride that little humanoids have. Trolls love magic items, and they are considered more valuable than the platinum coins when it comes to measuring one's worth. A magical sword is worth far more than anyone will pay them in coins for it, especially if the item can be used as a powerful weapon to intimidate other trolls. Troll society is limited to small clans or even single families, as they are too chaotic and violent to sustain order in a larger group. Small family groups allow for manageable hunting parties and provide some kind of mutual protection for the individual members. As females are stronger than males, most clans are matriarchal. About the only exception to that would be with giants. Giants tend to stabilize and keep control of the troll clans that are under their in their territory. Mountain trolls in particular keep trolls, mountain giants I should say, keep trolls around, and also ogres. Intertribal relations are normally limited to random meetings to share news or to trade mails or valuable magic items. In other societies, family members are ritualistically given to other families in exchange for like a formal fosterage or marriage alliances. Most clans do not trespass on another clan's territory unless it's spoiling for a fight or food is extremely scarce. Temporary agreements can be reached when fighting a common enemy or if there is plenty of humanoid prey to go around. Troll culture and history is maintained through oral tradition only. Each clan attributes a divine origin to its founder, with its great mother often being a daughter of Vaprak. They believe themselves superior to other giant races because they have maintained their connection to the primal, chaotic forces of the earth by emulating its ability to destroy and regenerate. Several giant mythologies acknowledge elder creator gods. Many of them are no longer actively worshipped by any other race. Their names lost and forgotten. The trolls are no different, and their legends speak of the Dark Earth Mother. Their lairs are often a series of 2 to 4 connected natural caverns. They do little to improve their living conditions in their caves, although they might conceal or bar the entrance to their lairs with stacked up bones or wood, timber, loose sort of scree. They generally look for caves that have small mouths, 5-foot entrances, and narrow winding entry tunnels that are very easy for them to block or defend. Trolls typically disguise the entrance to their lairs with large boulders or a pile of earth and brush. So they restrict their food leavings to the inside of the cave, and they'll normally chew down pretty much everything, and the only thing that you'll find in a well-used lair is waste. No bones or anything like that, which would have been chewed up and digested by the trolls. They prefer caves that have 2 entrances, especially if they allows the trolls to leave by one and easily return by the other. So such a troll den presents a greater threat to adventurers, since they might find themselves quickly cut off from escape once a troll circles back around and comes at them from an angle, and then the adventurers find themselves inside a troll lair, attacked from both sides. The trolls often found in the company of other creatures, either serving as henchmen or service or as partners. So trolls aren't particularly concerned with falling damage, so they're often willing to grapple a PC and take the foe over the edge of a pit or cliff. So trolls, beware of fighting a troll on a ledge, because the troll will simply grab you and leap into a 60-foot pit trap. They get on fairly well with troglodytes. Troglodytes appreciate the extra muscle, and both of these species are quite able to eat carrion without having much of a problem. The troll's good fortitude saving throw, or in the case of a constitution saving throw, is not likely to succumb to the troglodyte's stench. Although the two species don't normally associate with one another socially, the drow will employ both races, giving them cause to work together, and they will, if they're discovered underground working together, they've typically escaped from drow custody together and are working against any drow in the area. So be wary, there's a greater threat around. Ogre mages and trolls are a natural combination. The ogre mage might use trolls to soften up opponents while it remains invisible, waiting for the opportune moment to cast Cone of Cold into the melee. The trolls don't like this, but they can regenerate the damage. If the player characters can easily resist the troll's attacks, the ogre mage makes its cold attack before trolls take too much damage, freezing everybody in place and then coming in and polishing everyone off. Drow love using trolls. They've got a cave troll. And yeah, there you can play basically trolls as player character classes. So you have troll shamans, would be the females of the matriarchs of the tribe, and of course warlocks and things like that. Vatprak the Destroyer is a chaotic evil patron deity of trolls and ogres, and he embodies the strength and ferocity that both races find appealing. Other giants worship him as well, especially brutish ettins and hill giants. The Destroyer appears as an extremely large troll, about 15 feet tall as an avatar, and his claws are stained with the blood of those he has slaughtered. Vatprak is worshipped in caves where the enemies of his followers are killed and eaten ritualistically. His clerics have access to the domain of chaos, destruction, evil, and strength, and claws are his favourite weapon. Also, trolls believe that only those who are killed by being cooked or marinated, essentially killed by acid or fire, are eaten by Vatprak. So their afterlife, as far as they're concerned, is they return to life if they're not burned or burnt by fire or acid, because Vatprak hasn't found them palatable. So they return to the world again. But if they've been killed by fire or acid, they are consumed by Vatprak in death. It's a kind of weird thing. So they don't really believe in an afterlife per se. 4th edition just included more well-equipped and formidable war troll and the fell troll to provide the different power levels for the different tiers of play, but didn't add much lore to what trolls are. In 5th edition we have the fire troll, the rot troll, the spirit troll, and the new venom troll, all appearing in Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. Locations in the Forgotten Realms where you more commonly find trolls are so notorious the places are typically named after them, such as the Troll Mountains of Arm or the Troll Trollbark Forest. Halrua and the areas around the Sea of Fallen Stars are home to larger types of trolls who prefer these mountainous territories, while in the lowland areas, trolls prefer to inhabit forests where game is rich. The local Muskawort trolls of Chondlewood are particularly skilled hunters, while the Evermoors are home to some sneaky tree trolls who have been forced to migrate gradually into the High Forest region thanks to constant fighting between them and giants. But the High Forest has also fought back against this migration in the form of highly dangerous and resourceful fey creatures such as the deadly pixies, who have become weaponized thanks to the encroachments of so many trolls. Forest trolls are typically more intelligent of the troll subspecies thanks to their better nutrition and habit of making use of tools, weapons and armor. With the Battle Rager trolls subject to cruel and evil experimentation, they have weapons and armor painfully grafted onto and into their bodies by the standing army of Zental Keep. Please hit the like button if you've made it this far, subscribe if you like what I do, check out my Patreon for some exclusive content and all the full scripts for these videos, buy some merchandise, wear your geek with pride, and as always, thanks for listening, and I'll be back with more for you very soon.